to my channel. My name is Andy, also known as Mouse. If you are new here, welcome for the first time. If you are not new here, welcome back. It's time for my September wrap-up. As you guys generally know, my wrap-ups are mostly insanity. That's due to the amount of books that I read in one day. That doesn't fit, and I'm not gonna risk it. Also, do we like my new filming setup? It doesn't look that different, although you now have a full view of both, not a full view, but like a good view of both of my bookshelves, so that's pretty exciting. I'm gonna do my best to make sure my glasses don't glare because that's still something I'm working on, but anyway, we're gonna do my wrap up. I got all of the stats together today, and okay, so first things first, I read 54 books in September. I think that's less than the month before, but still quite a bit. I did meet my goal of 366 books. That was supposed to be my goal for the year so that I would read a book a day. I've now increased that goal to 400 because here I am. There's still some time left for me to be reading, and I do intend to read some more, especially during the readathon. So I did hit my 366 goal. If I hit 400, I think I will officially lose my mind. I'm not really sure what happens after that. But yeah, pretty proud of that number, I guess. Last year, I had only read 50 books in the entire year, so 52, I think, maybe. Anyway, I read 16,178 pages. I listened to books for 80 hours. My average rating was 3.9, which is super, super low for me. Generally, my average rating is around 4 to 4.5, so anything to be below that is pretty low. I had quite a few books that I DNF'd this month, and I read a series that got all low ratings, so I will talk about that soon. I read 5 Own Voices books. I read 4 contemporary books, 1 dystopian, 13 fantasy, 2 historical, which is very unusual for me, 7 horror, 7 romance, also unusual for me, 9 sci-fi, and 4 thrillers. I read 25 audiobooks, 22 ebooks, and 6 physical books. That's part of my whole, I'm not reading that many physical books anymore. 19 adult books, 4 middle grade books, and 31 young adult books. I read books by 25 cisgendered authors, 3 gender fluid authors, 2 transgendered authors, and 1 unknown author, 4 Asian authors, 2 black authors, 1 mixed, 23 white, and 1 unknown. I think there was 1 person that I couldn't find any information about the author, and it made finding that information a little tricky. I didn't do so great on the diversity of race, but I think I did pretty good this month when it comes to the diversity of identity. A lot of the books that I read were queer and had own voices in that aspect, not necessarily own voices in, or not necessarily that they were diverse in gender identity, but they were diverse in queer identity, and I don't track that, also because I'm not going to ask anyone to out themselves specifically. So the worst book that I read this month, this is a little tricky. So I have a series I want to talk about as the worst books that I read this month, but I also did DNF 2 books this month. So I'm going to talk about the 2 books that I DNF'd, and then I will move to the series that I want to talk about. So the 2 books that I DNF'd are, let's get to them. It was And Now She's Gone by Rachel Housel Hall and You Will Never Know by S.A. Prentice. Both of these were ARCs that I received from NetGalley, I believe, and they were thrillers. Both of them are thrillers. Both of them come out in the next couple of months. My issue with both of them were very, very different. So with And Now She's Gone, my issue was that the plot lines, so there's 2 separate plot lines, and 2 separate times that you're hearing about, and my issue was that that was not done in a way that made the book cohesive enough to be interesting. So it felt like every time that I was interested in what was going on, all of a sudden we either got a new character because there was entirely too many of them, or we switched plot lines and then I got bored. That was really my biggest issue with the book. It was really hard for me to feel interested, and so I DNF'd it at 50%. The other book I DNF'd really early on, like 33%, and that does break my personal rule of waiting till 50%. But the reason that I DNF'd was because all of the characters felt like they talked like they were a caricature. And that book is You Will Never Know by S.A. Prentice. They didn't feel like real characters. And I figured out how the book would end in the first 25%. And so when it's a thriller and your twists are so not even classic, but done in such a way that makes them easy to figure out, it's a bit frustrating as a thriller reader. I am pretty critical of thrillers. I have very strong opinions of thrillers, and this one was not for me. So I will also say with And Now She's Gone, I had to DNF it also because it was really triggering the way that it talked about domestic violence, because I have PTSD from domestic violence. So that is those books. When it comes to the selection series, fuck those books. So I reread the selection series because I hate myself. I read all like 5 books and 4 novellas, I believe 4 novellas in a week. The audiobooks are about 7 hours long, and when you listen to them on 3 times speed, it's not that bad, but bad books. Terrible books. I wrote an entire article about it on my blog, or post, not article, about it on my blog, how these books are just awful. There's this unnecessary rebellion plotline in both times of the books, because you start with America, the singer, and then you have her daughter in the last 2 books. And why? It was completely unnecessary. The book felt like The Hunger Games meets The Bachelor meets Project Runway, and I hated it. I hated every minute of reading those books, but I did it for the content, and it wasn't worth it. So that was part of my rereading books from my childhood, so that I could see if I still liked them, and that one did not meet the mark. It was awful. It was a terrible book series. I did not enjoy them. They all got rated 3 stars or below. None of them got rated above 3 stars. The novellas all got rated 1 star, I believe, because they were all terrible. I don't know why I liked them in high school, and now as an adult I regret that life choice. So I will not be reading any other books by Kiera Cass. Not saying she's a bad author, but just saying that if that's how her plots look in all 8 billion books, then it's too much for me. Also, the endings all felt like they were rushed to be completed, so that wasn't for me. We're gonna talk about the best books that I read this month. Now, obviously, I did reread no, not obviously, but I reread Scape Gracers for the second time, especially since it came out in September. I have it right here, but I'm still in the middle of rereading it. I would generally class that as the best book of the month. However, because I think I already rated it the best book of the month another month, I probably shouldn't do that again. So, what was my best book this month? I literally just wrote it down. You Should See Me in a Crown. That book made me really emotional. I didn't expect it to. Contemporary romances, even when they are queer, don't generally get an emotional response from me. I hate romance. I don't enjoy it that much unless it's queer. But just the journey of her trying to become the prom queen, but also trying to be queer in a town that probably wouldn't let her be queer and the prom queen, and her struggle to get her scholarship was just a really lovely experience. The book was beautifully written, and the audiobook is on Spotify, so if you have a Spotify subscription, you can get it there. It's also on Scribd, I believe, so yeah, I thought that book was just really fun also. So it was really, really an emotional roller coaster, but it was also really, really fun, and I think sometimes that's really hard to balance, and I think that this book did it well. If you liked You Should See Me in a Crown, you would probably like The Year Shakespeare Ruined My Life. They're both queer contemporary romances. They are just a little bit different in context. The next best book of the month would actually be a series, and it would be the Murderbot series. So I listened to the Murderbot series in, I would be listening to the Selection series and listening to the Murderbot series at the same time. Not like at once, I'm not a crazy person. But it was the saving grace when it came to listening to the Selection series, because of how miserable I would be listening to that. I would then go, well, I'm going to listen to a Murderbot book. And the Murderbot series is not, the books are novellas, so they're pretty short, other than the very last one that came out recently. And they're quite fun. I really love our little robot dude. They're anxious and interesting, and it was just a really good series. It was a good sci-fi. Elle has been continually getting me into sci-fi, and I was not a big sci-fi reader up until recently, it seems like, and these books were fun. I would suggest them if you like sci-fi but you also like being able to laugh, because sometimes sci-fi is really dark. Especially if you liked the robot ship in Starsight and Skyward, you would probably like Murderbot. Murderbot is an adult series though, so it's not as simple as a young adult series, but I will say that the robot attitude kind of feels similar, except that Murderbot is a little bit more cynical about things, and I really liked that. So I don't know if there's any other books that feel super important to know. Let me see. I did finish quite a few series this month, which was really exciting. I finished the Tea Dragon series, I finished the Shadow Wand series, I finished the original Shannara trilogy, and I got some books that are turning into movies read, which was The Devil All the Time, for example, which I was able to watch that movie with Bella and her partner. That was really great. So yeah, this month, other than, I think if I had not have read the Selection series or DNF'd 2 books, my ratings would actually be higher. But I also think that having read those book series, it really slowed down my reading, because we are on September 29th and I have absolutely no interest in reading anything anymore. I'm gonna finish the arc that I'm currently reading and Scapegracers, call it a day. But that is a total of 55 books this month. Obviously, I did not go over all of them. I do have to limit for time, but I will link down below my Goodreads of all of the books that I read in September. And if you want more details on some books, generally, I mentioned some of them offhand during my vlogs, and eventually my September vlog will be up probably next month. So if you want to watch that, I would be very appreciative. I'm gonna go play Zoombinis and waste some time. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope that this video was, I don't know, satisfying maybe. Wrap-ups are really interesting. I didn't realize that they don't do as well as TBRs. If I had known that, I would have done TBRs a long time ago. Not that I'm doing it all for views, but wrap-ups are really hard for me to film because I don't know what information you want. So if you guys have something specific you want me to talk about when it comes to books, please let me know. I think the statistical rundown is really interesting to me, but if it's not interesting to you, let me know. If you want to know about more specific books or specific series that I read, or something that you saw me screaming about on Twitter but then didn't talk about here, let me know. I, again, highly recommend Scapegracers. I've probably talked about it 20 times now. But yeah, I am going to get to work. Hope you guys are having a great day. I will check back in later. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share if that is what you want to do. If it is not, I totally understand. I post videos every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and soon, possibly Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So, I'm gonna go.